Hello and welcome everyone. So I am continuing with the important histology or microscopy topics in which I am taking splenic infarct today. So before we move on to splenic infarct, we should know what is an infarct. So infarct is an area of ischemic necrosis which is caused by the occlusion or obstruction of either arterial supply or the venous drainage. So there will be an area of ischemic necrosis, ischemia, which is caused by the obstruction of arterial supply or the obstruction of the venous drainage of a tissue or organ. So the clinical importance of infarction lies in the fact that it can lead to some life-threatening conditions in a patient. For example, in myocardial infarction, the coronary artery it gets blocked, obstructed, and it will lead to infarction of the myocardial tissue. Then stroke, which is caused by the infarction in the brain, so due to occlusion of the cerebral vessels. Then gangrene can occur in the intestines by the obstruction in the mesenteric vessels, and gangrene can also result by the obstruction of the arterial supply in the lower limb. So these are the clinically important scenarios where infarction is commonly seen, and it is often life-threatening. Now, there are two main reasons for infarction. First is arterial obstruction, and second is venous obstruction. So there are certain differences in the morphology of the infarcts which are formed by these two obstruction. So it is important to know the differences between arterial obstruction and venous obstruction leading to the infarct. So most often the infarcts they are caused by arterial obstruction, and venous obstruction is a very less common cause for infarction. And in arterial obstruction also, the most common cause is arterial thrombosis and embolism. So this is an important MCQ, that the most common cause for infarction is arterial thrombosis or embolism, and less common causes for arterial obstruction are vasospasm, extrinsic compression of the artery by some tumor, then torsion of an organ, for example testicular torsion. Then if there is any trauma and that is leading to the rupture of the artery, then also there will be obstruction of the artery. So these are the important causes of arterial obstruction. And venous obstruction more commonly it causes the congestion rather than infarction, but in some cases infarction can also occur. And what is the mechanism for infarction occurring in venous obstruction? If there is venous obstruction in a tissue, then there is decreased venous return from that organ, so the organ will be engorged with the venous blood, and that will lead to increased hydrostatic pressure, and it will cause increased edema in that tissue, and that edema will cause increased pressure inside the tissue, and that will hamper the arterial supply of that organ also. So in that way it will cause congestion as well as infarction of that tissue if there is chronic venous obstruction. And infarction due to venous obstruction is commonly seen in organs which have a single efferent venous drainage, for example ovary and testis. So again this is an important question for Viva and MCQ. So ovary, testis, commonly they show infarction due to venous obstruction. Now another important question which is asked in Viva as well as exams is the classification of infarcts. So infarcts are based on whether it is arterial obstruction or venous obstruction. There are two types of infarct. First is red infarct, also known as hemorrhagic infarct, which is seen in venous occlusion, and white infarcts or anemic infarcts, they are seen in arterial occlusion. So I already told you that in venous occlusion generally edema is present while it is absent in the white infarct. Now grossly, if there is a red infarct or hemorrhagic infarct, then there is venous obstruction and there is more blood in the tissue, so there are areas of hemorrhage which can be seen, and the margins they are ill defined. and there is presence of brownish color because since there is hemorrhage, so there is more hemosiderin laden macrophages which will lead to the brownish discoloration of the organ in case of extensive hemorrhage. While in white infarct, the infarct is generally pale whitish and it is well demarcated from the surrounding viable tissue, and the margins are also well defined. So this is the important differences in the gross between white and red infarct. And lastly, the cause. So red infarct is caused by the venous occlusion, and the important conditions where it is seen are first is in loose spongy tissues like lung, then tissues which are having dual circulation like lung is having dual circulation by dual supply by the bronchial artery and the pulmonary, and small intestine. So these are the conditions where the venous occlusion is more commonly seen. And also as I told you, testis and ovary where there is single efferent, so there venous occlusion can occur and that can result in red infarct or hemorrhagic infarct. And white infarct, they are simply seen in those solid organs which have an arterial blood supply like heart, spleen and kidney. So if that artery is occluded, it will lead to the compromised blood flow to the whole organ and it will lead to the formation of white infarct or anemic infarct. So it's called anemic infarct because there is less blood in the organ, while in the hemorrhagic infarct, since there is venous occlusion, so there will be more blood. So that's why it is called hemorrhagic infarct. Now, the second classification of infarct is based on whether the infection is present or not. So, septic infarct is associated with infection, and septic infarct is commonly caused by the embolism from a mural thrombus which is formed in the heart and which is infected, especially in the case of infective endocarditis. So there the vegetations or the emboli, they are formed in the chambers of the heart and they can embolize to the other part of the body, and when they cause infarct there will be superadded infection since that embolus is in itself infective, and in that infarct there will be superadded suppuration or formation of pus. So that is known as the septic infarct. While all the other infarcts which have no infection associated with them, they are known as bland infarct. So these two classifications you should be knowing for the viva as well as theory. Now these are the gross images of the infarcts. So let us have a look. The first image is that of lung. So I told you that in lung there is dual circulation and also it is a spongy tissue, so it can contain more blood and it causes the hemorrhagic infarct. So this is hemorrhagic infarct. This is wedge-shaped infarct, but the margins are not that well defined as it is seen in the pale infarct. So this is the hemorrhagic infarct in the lung, and you can also see the brownish areas which are formed because since there is hemorrhage, so there is more hemosiderin laden macrophages in this lesion, leading to this brownish color. And this is the white infarct, and this is a spleen in which there is obstruction of the splenic artery and leading to this wedge-shaped pale infarct or white infarct. So you can see that the difference between these two gross specimens, that here the margins are very well defined. It is wedge shaped. The apex is pointing inwards towards the supply of the blood, and this is the base which is formed by the capsule. And sometimes exudates can be seen on this surface because of the inflammation. In this picture, it is shown that since whenever there is infarct, ultimately the healing will occur by fibrosis. So after fibrosis has occurred, it is seen as like this whitish depressed area. So this is a kidney infarct which has been healed by fibrosis or scarring. So we can see this white depressed area. So all infarcts, they heal by fibrosis, except in the case of brain. So splenic infarct is commonly due to the occlusion of the splenic artery, and commonly that obstruction is caused by the embolism from the heart. And grossly, as I told you, the lesion, this gross is very commonly asked in the viva. So this is a gross of splenic infarct in which we see a well demarcated and well defined wedge shaped area of white infarct, and the base of the this infarct is towards the capsule while the apex is pointing inwards. So this is how you have to explain this specimen whenever it is asked to you. And surrounding it is the normal splenic tissue. Now, in the microscopy, as I already told you that if there is infarct, there will be necrosis. And what type of necrosis will be there? There will be ischemic coagulative necrosis. So whenever there is ischemia, there is coagulative necrosis on microscopy. And the important feature of coagulative necrosis is that the cellular outlines are generally preserved while the nucleus of the cells, they are lost. So we will see the pinkish areas and devoid of the nucleus, and that appearance is known as the tombstone appearance of the cells. So only the outline of the cells remains while the cellular details, the nucleus, that is lost. So this is a microscopic image, and in this you can see this is the viable tissue of the spleen, and there are splenic follicles, and this is the margin which is separating this viable tissue from this area of ischemic necrosis or infarct. So this is the area of infarct, and this is, you can see that it is more pink, and the nuclei, they are very less here, because since there is necrosis, so nuclei, they are lost. And here you can see this is the viable tissue, it is more blue because of the presence of nuclei. So in this viable tissue, there will be the white pulp of the spleen, red pulp of the spleen, and here there will be these are just areas of necrosis, and along with that there will be inflammation. Inflammation is more marked in this area of margin, the margin which is separating this area of necrosis from this viable area. So initially, in case of acute infarct, the inflammation will be composed of the acute inflammatory cells like neutrophils, while when time passes, after that this acute inflammatory infiltrate will be replaced by the chronic inflammatory cells like the lymphocytes. Ultimately, in the late cases, this area of necrosis, this will show healing with the help of fibrosis, so fibroblast will proliferate. So exception to this is in all the infarcts, the healing occurs by fibrosis, except in case of brain. In the brain, there is always liquefactive necrosis. Now these are again the microscopic images. So these images, you can see this is the area of infarct, and this is the viable area. So area of infarct, again in this image, this is the area of infarct, which is very light pink in color, and very less blue areas you will see here. While here you can see this is the viable tissue, the splenic follicles, and this because you can make out as there are more viable cells here, there are more nuclei you can see, that's why it is more blue and pink, while this is out and out pinkish in color. So here in this I have tried to make this diagram of infarct spleen. So first you have to draw a capsule, and then you have to make a demarcation between the infarcted area and the viable area. So in the viable area, what you have to draw the normal splenic histology, so which will be composed of white pulp. So you make these follicles with the eccentric arteriole like this, and then you can make the splenic sinusoids again they will be lined by the endothelial cells, and they are part of the red pulp of the spleen. And in the infarcted area, you just have to with the eosin pencil, you have to make it pinkish, and some outline of the cells you can make like this, and then outline of the blood vessels, outline of the cells you can make, but the nuclei will be lost. In addition to this, you have to make the inflammatory cells, which will be more at the margins. So you can make acute inflammatory cells or chronic inflammatory cells or both, and the margin will be showing more RBCs, more hemorrhage, more congestion, more inflammatory cells, and then you can also make scattered inflammatory cells, like I have made these lymphocytes here. These are the lymphocytes. Here I have tried to make the neutrophil. So in this way you have to make a diagram of infarct spleen. Now lastly, there are certain factors which influence the development of an infarct. So first is the anatomy of the vascular supply. So I already told you that if in the organs which are having the dual circulation, they are more resistant to develop the infarct. like in lung, there is dual supply. Similarly, in the liver, so the hepatic artery portal vein, they supply the liver. So they are relatively more resistant to develop a infarct. Second is the rate of occlusion. If the rate of occlusion if it's very fast, then there will be no time for the development of the collaterals. So there will be rapid formation of the infarct. While if it is slow, the rate of occlusion is slow, then it gives time for the development of the collaterals, and infarction will be delayed. Then tissue vulnerability to hypoxia, it is important because certain tissues, they are more vulnerable to the lack of oxygen. Like the most important is the neurons. The neurons, they within 3 to 4 minutes of hypoxia, they start degenerating. And also in the heart, the muscles of the heart, they are also very vulnerable to hypoxia, and they take 20 to 30 minutes to die by ischemia. So that's why in case of myocardial infarction, or commonly we call it as heart attack, so the salvage time is very important. So we have to take the patient as soon as possible to the hospital, so that they can salvage the myocardial muscle, the muscles of the heart, because the obstruction in the coronary vessels, it has to be relieved as soon as possible. Otherwise, the myocardial muscles, they will die, and then they will be replaced by fibrosis, since the healing occurs by fibrosis, and that fibrosed area of the heart, it will not be able to function properly, since it does not have any contractile property. So these points are important, and they have their own clinical implications. And lastly, hypoxemia. So if there is the oxygen content of the blood is low, that also will cause the increased extent of infarction of that tissue. And lastly, these concepts from Robbins. So infarcts, they are areas of ischemic necrosis, and most commonly they are caused by arterial occlusion. So this is a question. The most common cause of infarction is arterial occlusion, and in that also most common cause is arterial thrombosis or embolization. Venous outflow obstruction is a less frequent cause of infarction, and venous outflow obstruction, more commonly it causes the congestion. Infarcts which are caused by venous occlusion, they are also known as hemorrhagic infarcts, and they will this question I asked in Viva, that common sites are the sites like the spongy tissues with dual blood supply, or where the blood can collect, like for example in the lungs and intestine, and these infarcts are called as red infarct. And the infarcts which are caused by the blockage of the arterial supply, they are known as white infarct. And whether or not the vascular occlusion causes tissue infarction, it is influenced by the collateral blood supply, the rate at which the obstruction is developing, whether it is rapid or whether it is slow, and intrinsic tissue susceptibility to ischemic injury, and the blood oxygenation or the level of hypoxemia. So thank you very much. Any questions or queries can be asked in the comment section. Thank you.